Do, 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 do. Welcome back to the No Music Podcast.
Hello, special guest Harry Potter. What have you done with Sam?
Expelliarmus.
Belliarmus.
Magic.
Can you magic up like 10 worldwide sellout tours for 10 up-and-coming Nottingham artists, please? Just like that.
7.
Just like that.
That's all the stick has.
7. You look so manly when you do that.
Let's turn that into a gift, folks. So, what we are doing today, Mark, we're going to try and help musicians. How are we going to do that, Mark? We are going to try and do that by, I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about some
eye tips.
Eye protection. Go see your opticians, kids. And also some YouTube tips and some Patreon tips and some WeTransfer tips. The holy grail of tippage. You're gonna talk about something probably to do with something Web3 thing. Had the thing.
Or do I have a confession to make?
Well, that is a pre-sale which you might have to wait before you share.
Eyebrow raise.
And
speaking of giffage,
and we're obviously going to speak about Nottingham, favourite little subject. So I think
we're going to speak
the pretty
about
boy gets to talk first, as is often the way. So.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going first.
Banter. So, in a glorious world of socials, content, things that are relevant to musicians at the start of their career, a really interesting talking point over probably about the past week as we record this, is that our favorite platform, TikTok, our favorite platform that is known for short form content, has recently made it possible and is starting to push up to 10-minute videos on the platform. So
just remind us why it's our favorite.
It's our favorite because right now it is the easiest way to get exposure to your music, to your brand, without having to pay anything. Obviously, part of the trade-off for that is, at least traditionally, that meant you had to make short-form content, which if you're making your 8-minute prog rock epics, probably wasn't the easiest thing for you to do, etc., etc. But there is at least a case, and obviously we're going to talk about this, that, I want to talk about why they've done it and what other, parts of the social media world are doing and what, you can, I guess, learn from that as a musician. But the short one-liner to begin with is the platform that is most known for super short, repetitive video is basically gone, we'd quite like some 10-minute videos, guys. And the music world, the social media world, had some really interesting reactions to it over the past few weeks. People are confused. People are like, why would I watch an 8-minute video on my phone when I can watch it properly on YouTube, on a TV or a computer? And a bunch of other understandable thoughts like that.
Can you watch TikTok on your TV?
Yeah,
on your
most
smart
TV. Well, that was going to be one of my points. Most smart TVs do now have a TikTok app built in. It's definitely nowhere near as universal as YouTube, because YouTube's on everything. It's like on fridges now and Teslas. But yeah, you can access TikTok. I mean, it's part of why it's such a well-used platform. Is it's on iPhone, it's on Android, it's on smart TVs, blah 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 blah.
And it's not that long ago since we were talking about YouTube starting to do shorts. So is this some great battle of the video platforms?
I don't think so. I mean, it's a fair point, and it's a funny coincidence. YouTube, as we've discussed in previous shows, is making a big push for YouTube Shorts, which is basically YouTube's rip-off of TikTok, which is short-form vertical video content. And they're doing really well with it. Like, the data on it is insane. Like, the amount of people both uploading, using it, and also the people making money from it. But also, yeah, I'm pretty sure on the last 2 numps ago, we say, even one of the big bosses of YouTube was aware that YouTube, its core had gone away from this kind of DIY ethic to a bit more produced, a bit more higher budget, a bit more work, maybe. And shorts were kind of eradicating that. And I think TikTok has the opposite problem. I think your average person thinks TikToks are like throwaway, no one will remember any TikToks in 10 years type content, even though ironically quite a lot of them can. A 15-second one that doesn't look like it's taken very much time often might have took about 4 days to film and make.
So why does a musician care about this news? What's, benefits not features? What's the benefit here for a musician of TikTok moving into
Well,
the
there's a
longer
few things.
form
Well, so the
territory?
easy, going back to our favorite phrase, the low-hanging fruit, things you can do immediately. We've often talked about repurposing content with all of these different platforms. So stuff you've already
Mm.
made, already paid for, already blagged. If
Does the repurposing mean
Yeah, so
recycling?
like we've talked in the past about
Okay.
you should take
Yeah.
clips out of the music videos you already have on YouTube and upload them to TikTok. Now, in theory, if you've got a few music videos or you've got a few live sessions or acoustic performances, whatever it might be, you can now upload them in full to TikTok. In the art of balance, they're probably not going to do as well as if you made a designated short form TikTok friendly piece of content, but you definitely lose nothing from putting it up there because every piece of content that gets uploaded to TikTok still gets that first initial push to a few hundred random people. And ultimately, if it's a banging session or if it's a banging music video, then people are going to like it and engage with it. And then the algorithms will push it out to the right people. That's before you.
So if you think a music video from 6 months ago is kind of done, old, out of date, not relevant, and it's living on YouTube and it's on 623 views, it's really worth now putting that on TikTok because it will push it out to more people and it will do it
Correct.
for free. And you've got
Literally,
nothing to lose.
that's almost my argument with any of these platforms right now is like, even though it's easier to get big numbers, like anything in life, if you pay a lot of money towards it, you don't lose anything from taking advantage of those few hundred people that might see it from you posting it somewhere else. Or, we often talk about you only need that one person in the room that could like change your life or do something significant for your career. TikTok's a good example of that. Even if that music video does only go out to 500 people, all you need is one of them to be someone that really likes you and is really passionate and potentially connected.
And we do know that A&Rs now spend quite a significant percentage of their time trawling through TikTok in the way that they used to just go to
Yeah,
things
I mean,
called
we
gigs.
have off the record had very significant industry A&Rs tell us that if an artist isn't using TikTok, it doesn't matter how good the music is. They just see that as saying that they don't have the work rate to be a successful musician. So that is perspective. I'm definitely not.
The big comment,
It's not
Sam.
even me.
You're saying full-time. You're saying full-time professional A&Rs have told you off the record.
No.
This is not everyone, but people who make their living as A&Rs have told you that if someone's not on TikTok, they see that as a kind of gauge
Correct.
of work rate or being in touch with the audience, and therefore, if they're not on TikTok, that means they ain't going to be interested
Correct.
in
I
working
mean,
with
obviously, this is very much. So I think I've had it probably two people say it that overtly to me, but it's in the it's very much just in that spirit. We've often talked about quite a few people we know, like professional, whether it's A&Rs, managers, significant music industry people, have often said to us, the musicians they want to scout and bring on, they scout them in the same way they scout athletes. They want to see that they are doing absolutely everything to know that they're going to put the time, the effort, the work rate in, because all of these things that we've often talked about is making a living from music, reasonably achievable, beautiful thing. But if you're actually dreaming about being mega successful, definition like Dua Lipa arena levels and crazy stuff like that, like that's fucking hard work. You've basically got to be Olympic athlete level in your particular area and your skill. So yeah.
Yeah, but there's always a Usain Bolt who's just so insanely naturally talented that he can go out partying all night with the Swedish volleyball team and still do a world
True.
record. That's what we're all hoping, isn't it? But actually, the reality is, Usain Bolt has been working really hard before he went out all night with the Swedish volleyball team.
And that's no different to that story that everyone knows the story of one artist that played to a room of 7 people at their local pub, but an A&R that worked for a major label just magically happened to be there. There's always going to be one-off stories like that, and they're magical. Happy for those people. You got lucky, great, or even you got strategically lucky.
I mean, Jake Bugg has an element. Jake Bugg has an element of that about his story. So we're in a position where we know reasonably good detail what went on behind the scenes. But there was still a good 2 years of really intense, pretty much everyday work rate.
Well, this
behind that overnight success.
We have talked about this, off mic quite a few times in the past. It's, so much of people often complain about it being hard to make a living or hard to be a successful musician, as if there isn't a roadmap, when to some degree there is a roadmap. There is things you can learn and strategies you can try. and you have to adjust them for your genre of music. You have to adjust them for the fan base that you want to build, etc., etc. But
I mean, that's lots of areas of life. What you've mentioned the sport, and I can't remember if we've done this on a Nont before, but one of the reasons we like to mention sport a lot is generally sport is incredibly precise and objective. If you're running the 100 meters in 9.9 seconds, you can probably get away with being a twat and getting picked. There's no subjective decisions necessary there. You're quick. If you're scoring 25 goals a season, you're probably going to get picked. Music is subjective. It doesn't have that precise objectivity, which means a lot of these more opaque, nuanced areas matter a lot more, which is the great side of having things like YouTube and TikTok, because you can just do it yourself, but it does require a lot of work, which that relates to one of our one-liners about labels is if you want to be unsigned and independent, that means no record deal, but it means lots of little
and ones
deals.
that you have to read the
John
paperwork
Buckby always says that one-liner. But apologies, maybe I'm taking us off track a little bit there. Can we wrap up and summarize quite concisely what you're sharing has changed and is exciting about this change with TikTok?
Up until
particularly
about
from the
a week
perspective
ago,
of musicians at the start of their career.
A week ago, as we record this, the max video length for a video on TikTok was 3 minutes. That has now been expanded to 10 minutes. Most people will see TikTok as a platform where they're only uploading 5, 10, 15, 20, 30-second videos. It's very short form focused. That's true. That is the majority of the platform. But the reason we shout about TikTok so much is the fact that it is pushing out anyone and everyone to at least a small percentage of people. And then if those people engage with it, they push it out more. So it's a fair, if your content is good, every piece of content has the fair opportunity to get in front of a certain amount of people. And basically, if you were at this point of I'm struggling to make short form content, but I have got long form content, which I think a lot of musicians will have because they'll have 4-minute songs with music videos. They'll have a live performance that they did that was filmed on a phone, all these kind of pieces of content that they'll naturally have as a musician at the start of their career. You can now upload that direct to TikTok. And we're being transparent that it won't connect probably as much as it would if you spent the time to curate something specifically for the platform, but you lose literally nothing from putting it up there. Every single thing that gets uploaded to the platform gets a fair chance to connect with in front of a reasonably large amount of people. So what have you got to lose? Assuming you've been good with your file keeping over the past year of being a musician, and you know where the Dropbox link is or the WeTransfer, we'll talk about that in a minute. But as long as you know where the files are, and you've got a decent internet connection, shout out Nottingham internet, then you should be able to upload them, in a few minutes. And again, that could lead you to someone important who could help you. So that's my...
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the concise answer. Just as well, they have expanded their limit from 3 to 10 minutes.
So
actually get a Sam one-liner on there. What's next?
I just want to, based on this is based on a personal experience I've had over the past few weeks, but definitely valuable to musicians. It's nothing crazy. It's just people are going to think I've got some weird vendetta against WeTransfer. That is not the case. I do not have a vendetta against WeTransfer. I have a vendetta against...
We've talked about this so many times.
Arguably, if you transcribed every conversation we've ever had and every advice video, every podcast, the phrase "make it easy" is probably the one liner we've used the most and we try and shout about the most. And
do you think this is the #1 schoolboy error? Like the most oft-repeated?
I think there's two. Error. I think there's... let's make this point first, because we haven't actually got to the point of WeTransfer. The reason I think it's fair to say a lot of people are against WeTransfer is because it's appealing at the start of your career, because it's a service that allows you to send large files for free. Understandable. Problem is, when you do use the free version, you get, I think it's a week, maybe it's 10 days, but you don't get very long until that file is deleted from the servers. If you're using that as your main way to send that file, whether you're sending it to radio DJs, potential managers, promoters for gig bookings, whatever it might be, you've got to be very, very lucky for that person to open it, within the first day of you sending it. Realistically, there's every chance they're parking them all to like 1 day a month, maybe every quarter. Do you know what I mean? These people are busy. We've spoken to people like John Kennedy at Radio X, who says the crazy amount of emails he gets, like hundreds and hundreds. He ain't going to listen to all of them in 1 day.
500 a week, I think.
That's what I mean. I remembered it was a big number per week. So 500 a week, there's no way he's listening to yours on the day, at which point you might be thinking, all right, mate, but I'm broke. I can't afford to pay. You don't have to. WeTransfer has just done, they've just smashed marketing, basically. WeTransfer have convinced everyone it's the only free file sharing
Yeah.
platform on the planet. It's not. So, but cutting to the chase, Google Drive has a large free option that's very, accessible in the industry. Anyone can use it. Dropbox has a pretty good free option. I would actually recommend, if someone's considering having a lot of files, paying for Dropbox is my personal recommendation, but the free version will do for just sending a few songs. And then if you Google, free file transfer service, there could be 100 now, man. There's so many startups that are trying to come up with quirky ways to, like, I literally saw one the other day, which was for every file you send, we'll plant a tree and crazy stuff like that. So basically, WeTransfer, if you're listening, no hate. You're a great platform. You led the way. Thanks, guys. But musicians, why send a link to someone you want to listen to your music, which will probably expire? I just don't see the point, and you're just harming yourself.
It will definitely expire.
It will probably expire before they get to the person you want to listen to it gets to listen to it, and it will definitely just absolutely expire because they want you to pay for it, like any business company does.
Yeah. So it's not a new tip. We've talked about this many times over the years, workshops, advice videos. Musicians, make it easy. Do not send music to people you want to hear your music via a WeTransfer link that's going to expire after 7 or 10 days. Use one of the many free services, such as a small company called Google or Dropbox, that offer you free services that will not expire after 7 or 10 days.
And as I said, if you're like just Googling, as long as you know how Google works, there are so many services that can do this kind of thing for you. And also, you know what? Actually, because we do know quite a lot of, college, uni age musicians listen to the show. There is definitely a habit of, when you're making music at college or uni level, to share files within your uni email server, because a lot of unis give like storage as a part of their email, and a lot of the time they'll upload the file to the email, and then the uni does something in the back end, which is how it then gets sent to the random person. But a lot of the time, we've had this even with Nottingham artists that have sent their tunes in through their uni email. When they then come to us and we're on like a normal non-uni email, we can't access the file. It says we need special permissions, and we will go through the extra effort to try and go, look, guys, can you send it? We want to help you. But if you
hang on,
what?
So not only are musicians sending music via links that expire, they're sending music via links that you can't even access.
All the time. Yeah, totally. Like, the amount of times that I receive tunes and I then have to request access, half of the time I don't even then get granted the access. It always happens. So, but again, to be fair, with the uni ones, I think a lot of people don't realize it happens, because what a lot of the time will happen on the student's end, they'll upload the file and click send, and it looks like just a normal email attachment. But then a lot of the uni email systems do some magic, which, instead of turning it into a regular attachment, turns it into a link that then gets lost in some uni student safety metaverse thing. So yeah.
The uni student safety metaverse thing.
One and spin off to.
I thought that was the brand that Zuckerberg was going to go for, but it was trademarked. Okay, can we? I'm getting bored of talking about links.
We can move on. I mean, they were the key points, really. Like, there is a way that you can get stuff you've already made out to loads of people, and hopefully it'll make you rich and famous. And there's a way that you can increase the chance of someone that you've sent your music to, actually listening to it before it expires. There you go. Go do that.
Is it worth at this point? Because it might be the first time we've said it in the non, just touching on the almost slightly philosophical point, which is, if you accept as an artist, you do need to do some work on the business part of show business, or the industry part of the music industry. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to get to the making a living level from music, only making great music. We all wish that was all you had to do, was just make great music. And one of the sort of wanky philosophical points we talk about is the theory that all you have to do is make one great song. Because the definition of a great song is it connects with people. If the definition of a great song is a song that the moment someone hears it, it connects with them so much they feel the need to share it with someone. That, in theory, means all you need to do is make one great song, upload it to BBC Introducing. They should recognize it's great and play it, and then however many people have listened to that show hear it and all start talking about it, and you're off. In theory, that's all you should need to do. In reality, there's normally some work
and that
needs to be done. And one of those jobs is about getting your music in front of the ears of people who can help you. There's nothing you can do about how their ears react to their music. There is a lot you can do about whether their ears get to hear your music. And so the WeTransfer link is an example of that. You've done all the hard work. They've opened your email. It's not gone in spam. They've decided to listen to it. They've clicked on it, and it's out of date, or it's behind a uni firewall.
Oh. Anyway,
next.
What's your bit? I'm done. I'm going to chill. Talk to me about the Web3 metaverse.
Well, the NFT Bitcoin Web3 Discoverse. I can't remember what you called it about 10 minutes ago. You gave it another name. Actually, it was a lot less than 10 minutes ago. Time is distorting in the metaverse. My confession, which is either an impressive piece of humility or a spin on being a lazy bastard and not having paid enough attention, is that over the last 2 or 3 weeks, nothing's particularly caught my eye through the specific lens of stuff in this world that's going to be, in the short or medium term, helpful and useful to a musician at the start of their career. As we've spoken about on nearly every knob, there's a lot of geeky stuff going on. There's a lot of very niche stuff going on, all of which is going to be hugely important in the medium to long term. You know, if you're at the start of your career, this stuff is definitely going to be important in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. And hopefully you're going to be a musician for 4, 5, 6 decades. Because you don't want to retire if you're a musician, do you? Because you're doing what you love. But right now, what's useful, and I was saying to you, I don't think there's really that much that's popped up in the last 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe the Brit Awards NFT thing is kind of interesting. Because it's quite a high-profile project in Europe and in the UK, whereas this is, you know, so much of this is basically within 2 miles of the city center of either Vegas, South Beach, Miami, or Silicon Valley. So the Brits and the charity part of the Brits as well, which is nice, did a collaboration with Serenade, which is an app we've mentioned a few times because it's got a British focus and a music focus. And, you know, there are actual humans who might respond to your email or your call. They did an NFT thing for each of the winners of each of the Brit Awards, I think. So, you know, if this stuff piques your interest, that's worth a little Google. I think there's even a few still available. I think when I looked earlier, there was still a couple of Wolf Alice and Lil Sims ones. The Odell ones had sold out, funny enough. One of the world's biggest artists. So yeah, that's interesting to look at. But otherwise, I thought it might be, in terms of what's useful to artists at the start of the career, good to do a little bit of recap. And I thought if I did the recap, that would be really boring. So then I thought, why don't we quiz each other and see if in between spending an hour loving the nomp as an excuse to just stare at your face, you've actually been listening and paying some attention. Okay. So we might get you to do the recap. And then we thought, well, what would be a fun way of doing that? As you used to be the king of pub quizzes in Nottingham, the leading pub quiz on a Tuesday within 100 yards of Pelham Street. Let's do the NFT Bitcoin Web3 Discoverse.
Okay, let's go. This is the mic.
Open brackets. See if Sam's been paying attention rather than just staring at himself. Close brackets. So we'll start with the classic. You probably know what's coming. The 4 main areas of this crazy tech that we think are going to be helpful for musicians, particularly those at the start of their career. What are they, Sam?
So,
well, I like you doing the kind of nervous, am I going to win the prize?
I don't.
TV quiz show.
So I know the first one is digital merch because that's NFTs and that's one of the main things we've talked about the most. I know that's definitely the first one. That's digital merch. And they're all digital, right? They're all digital something.
Yeah, they're all digital da-da-da.
Digital merch 1. Digital communities, as in fan clubs.
Ding! We're doing well, ladies and gents. Kind of impressed and disappointed.
Digital ownership.
Hoping to see you squirm a bit more.
As in shared ownership.
Ding! 3 out of 4. yeah, I mean, that's the, you could share ownership with your fans. It will enable fans to invest in you from the very, very start, as well as, just buy a T-shirt. 3 of the 4.
Digital fucking.
Language,
Digital.
young man.
Digital payments. Payments.
That's a whole. Yes. Well done. Digital merch, digital ownership, digital communities, and digital
And that's
payments.
like micropayments and tipping and all that kind of stuff.
It's everything from the stuff you've just mentioned, which I think is what's useful to musicians at the start of the career. We've often used the example of during the lockdowns, particularly lockdown 1, a lot of people doing live streams. If, those 37 or 52 people had been able to drop you 50p or a pound relatively easily without having to put their credit cards in, I know I would have done. Might even have put £1.50 in. Suddenly you could have been generating 40 or 50 pounds a night without leaving your flat. Through to the ability to, monitor every single radio play of your song all over the world when you're mega famous. Because even the Elton Johns and Dua Lipas probably aren't getting what they're due from, radio plays in Argentina or Ecuador, Papua New Guinea, etc. But from the start of your career perspective, yeah, the micropayments part of things is probably the bit that's most useful from payments. Well done. I've got my list here. Which famous making a living theory has been put on speed by this new technology?
Is this the 1,000 fans theory thing? Hey!
Correct. Oh, you're doing well. 1,000 fans, some are now saying, has become 100 fans.
Because they can buy more things?
Yeah. And it's less necessary for them to be in the same geographical
You're not worried
place.
about gigs and stuff.
So, 1,000 fans theory, a significant part of it was gigs, whereas a lot of this tech is going to allow you to monetize. Sorry, physical gigs, should be really precise there, is going to allow you to monetize. And I know I hate the word monetize, but get closer to making a living from music or continue making a living from music. So that's basically what we mean by monetize, as much as it sounds like a naff businessman term. To monetize in different ways outside physical gigs. Now, a lot of that might be virtual gigs. Arguably the most famous example of that during the COVID era was the Larson stuff,
yes.
generating $1 million plus dollars. We've mentioned that on previous notes, so I won't labor it. It's news to you, worth Googling what she did and how she almost made $1 million by accident after doing some virtual stuff. But yeah, 1,000 fans theory is something we've spoken about a lot over the whole time of music. This tech's going to, the thing that's meant to be inspiring about 1,000 fans theory is it feels a lot more relatable. If you believe in your art, whether you're a musician, a poet, a writer, a sculptor, it's intimidating if you think you need to get thousands and thousands of people to like your art to make a living, whereas 1,000 was a bit more relatable. And then 100, you could say, potentially slightly controversial point, it's almost a contradiction to think you're good and then not think 100 people could be really into you if you've got your stuff out there. So then you wear it.
What?
You'd have to be in some major basement Deutsch, dirty Bhangra techno orchestral sound, like well nichey, to be at the top of your game in your niche and not be able to find 100 people around the world who were inspired by it enough that they would buy some
that's
stuff off
the
you.
thing we were talking about earlier, isn't it? Of like, it's your job to get it in front of people. You can't control what they do once they hear it.
Yeah. So, next question.
ABBA.
Which Aussie pop duo did you claim are better than ABBA?
Obviously, Savage Garden. Slaps on slaps.
And to the nearest 10 million, how many more records have ABBA sold in Savage Garden?
You mean Savage Garden sold than ABBA, right? I think you're a shit quiz host. You got this all wrong.
Yes. Not quite, Sam. Not quite.
I don't like data.
You don't like data, particularly when it contradicts you. The data suggests it's anywhere between 150 and 250 million
sales
more, depending on which source you go. Yeah. But ABBA in particular, that you might realize if you've ever had an argument with a friend at a house party or something, like who sold more, and then you get Google out and try and work it out. And we're used to Google telling us the answer, but with record sales, there'll often be lots of nuances. Is it albums? Is it singles? Obviously, in the modern age, you've got these debates about what proportion of stream equals an actual physical sale. And back in the day, in these things called the 80s and even something called the 1970s, particularly because of something that's in the news at the moment called the USSR, there were really significant amounts of sales in countries that no one knew about. Separate to the USSR, a great example of this is the documentary on, I think it's called Searching for Sugar Man on Prime, where the geezer was massive in South Africa, which was cut off from the rest of the world because of being a massively racist country. He was basically a mega pop star without ever knowing, and just carried on being I think he was a bricklayer or a builder, that kind of trade in Detroit or Chicago. So because of that, when you have these debates, it can actually be far from clear, and you can get crazy statements like, we're not sure whether ABBA sold 150 million or 250 million albums.
Check down the sofa.
But what we do know is they sold a fuckload more than Savage Garden.
Not in the metaverse.
So, true or false, several unsigned artists at the start of their career have sold NFTs for four figures.
We've talked about a lot of them on previous knobs.
Name me two.
Two examples of relatable artists. Artists at the start of their career.
Just name me two of the artists we've spoken about.
Literally the ones we've spoken about. Lack Honey, Lyra.
Ding.
What's the other one? No, Jack Screen.
And Latasha would be the other one we've spoken about quite a lot.
She's arguably blown up.
But yeah, well done.
Right? She is now, we often say that when we were first...
Yes, when we first covered them, when we first spoke about them. One of the things we looked at to prove that was what their social media numbers were. And if you may remember, I think every single one, or close to every single one of the artists we've covered as a relatable example, had less than 1,000 Twitter followers when they started making four-figure sums from NFTs. And the reason we focused on Twitter was because Twitter is arguably the lead platform in the crypto world, even though Insta is probably the main platform in music, right now, although that's very, very close to being taken over by TikTok. What is a Basefordism? That's one. A Basefordism. Something really boring?
A Basefordism is the of kings from back in the day, from the area of Nottinghamshire, known as Basefordia.
The Oxford English Dictionary says, a Basefordism is the art of mispronouncing a word with such confidence the person who can actually speak English properly doubt themselves.
They're for kings, right? Stand by it.
There we go. That is a Basefordism. Who dropped the first dub plate?
Oh, this is your rubbish joke, isn't it? Thomas Edison.
Yeah. What links John Lewis, Bayern Munich, and local Nottingham faves Mim?
It's an ownership thing. I always forget what the right term is, though.
It's an
community ownership or something?
Yeah. Shared ownership, mutual ownership. There's lots of different phrases, but John Lewis is owned by its team members. Bayern Munich, all German Premier League clubs have this 50+1 rule to be owned by the community. And local Nottingham favourites, Mim, Detonate, or example of brands we talked about locally who are so entwined in the community. They're more than just a club night or more than just a night out. People feel the people who go to their parties and their raves, support them in the way you support a football club, almost, which is one of the reasons related to that. And we just thinking that we think this Web3 crypto disco verse is going to open up a lot of possibilities. Interesting phrase. We think the Web3 crypto disco verse is going to open up a lot of possibilities. What's going on there? Let's try that one more time. Possibilities. We think the Web3 crypto disco verse is going to open up a lot of possibilities in the music world above and beyond what it's going to do just for artists and club promoters and gig promoters, those ones who are really embedded in the community and have a lot of support locally and are seen as doing it for the right reasons. I think there's a lot of opportunities for them with this tech over the next couple of years.
Cool.
But we've talked about it a lot before, so see previous numps if you're interested in knowing more, as well as our Instagram, because you've got some 1-minute clips on some of this stuff.
Well done. After your excuses, I think we move on to our favourite topic, Nottingham. And the
what's going on? What are you excited about this month?
Yeah, well, so this weekend just gone, there was the Tumbles birthday thing. We were still unsure what birthday it was, but it had a mega lineup that was like Snowy, Kaiser, Landlord, basically every cool Knots MC and DJ ever playing Hood and Warehouse. So I heard many good things about that. And it was also the MIM Future Makers thing, this new venue that Team MIM have, which could be potentially a really exciting new venue for Nottingham musicians, you know, especially this spring, summer. They had Melonix and Jaya Had a Dream, Parisa from Acoustical spinning some tunes, all that kind of good Nottingham collective goodness. So that was this weekend just gone. And then, let's see if my memory can work here. So the end of the month, doing his big homecoming show back at Rock City. He is back. Obviously, a few years, thanks to Mr. and Mrs. COVID. So that is at the end of the month, obviously sold out. So that will be as epic as Mr. Bug Show always is. Our mate, the only man I've ever seen neck a pint in the bodega at 10 a.m., Mr. Window Kid, is back at Rescue Rooms. I think we were getting confused about this when we were chatting off mic, like,
so he's still doing the Nottingham show, even though they've had to delay the
tour, but kept the headline, which is probably just I want to do my headline show. I want to get this headline show done. I wouldn't be surprised if he then tries to tack a second headline show, hometown show, onto the tour the second time around. But we were talking about this off mic. Of just that's obviously going to be fucking mental. And yeah, I mean it.
What time do you think Window Kid will be out to?
Does it count if he doesn't go to bed till the following evening? Because at that point, he technically never, you know, like
Yeah. I mean, if your answer is 11 p.m. on Friday, if the gig was on Thursday, then
let's hope he's took the day off work the following day. That's all I can say. But yeah, that'll.
What's the name of the place he works at?
18 Montrose or something.
Yeah, if you want a pair of Kanye sneakers from 18 Montrose, Fridays, or maybe Friday's a great day to go there and haggle, because he'll be like, whatever, bro. Have them.
So that's happening. We've got our next workshop, not as promoters trying to sell anything, but just as people that want to help. As this Thursday is the next music workshop. 3 Radio 1 DJs, basically every set of humans in Nottingham that can help a Nottingham musician, plus loads of fellow Nottingham musicians to meet, network with, build a band with, whatever it is you may want to do. That is entirely free at Metronome this Thursday. Free tickets are on our Instagram, on our website, all of the places you would expect them to be.
And it's worth mentioning they've all got an interest in artists at the start of their career. They all do shows that have an interest in that. They're also from across genres.
Yeah, everyone there, like, regardless of the genre of music you make, there will be something to benefit from by going, spending a few hours of your Thursday evening. But specifically, if a lot of our listeners are like very aware of BBC Introducing, especially locally, and how that can be a useful tool as a musician, we have got Gemma Bradley, who is the host of the national Radio 1 BBC Introducing show. So if that's almost an end goal.
So she plays all genres.
If that's almost an end goal after you've been played on BBC Introducing locally, then she's literally going to... The end goal is going to be in Metronome this Thursday. So bring your demo, whatever that means in 2022.
So a human being who plays all genres of artists at the start of their career on national Radio 1 is going to be in Nottingham in person for free at Metronome on Thursday. And then there's 2 other humans who are quite useful as well.
And not just that, they are the main speakers, as I was saying. The fact the Advice Fair is coming back, which is 10 plus music helping organizations, everyone from PRS Foundation that gives out essentially free money to musicians for their next projects, through to Who else we got coming in? We've got the local music hubs who can help you get some of your first gigs and some mentorship. Like the list will be on our socials, so go and have a look there. But yeah, again, it's, we're really not overselling this as happy promoters. It's all free. We make nothing from this. We want to help, but in literally 2 hours, the amount of opportunities and things you could get for your music, as weird as the phrases that might be, yeah, man, it's totally worth it.
So can I do my try and summarize something that Sam's taken
I think
ages
so.
to say thing?
Give it a go.
3 national radio
Yeah.
DJs and over 10 different entities who all to varying degrees have a job, which is to help musicians at the start of their career, all in one place
For free.
In the middle of Nottingham City Centre.
Yes, sir. And
might get my own demo sorted.
Finally, can't wait to hear the Summer Mop Pop duo. So that's it. That's Nottingham. Obviously, if there's anything we've missed, then please let us know. As ever, if there's any questions, we do exist to help. Again, we keep saying it, but it's cheesy, but it's true. We just want to help. So if you guys have a specific topic you'd like us to, do a bit more of a dive on next time, whether it's something you're confused about social media, something in the Web3 NFT world that you're a bit like, what's going on here, bro? What can I take from this? Then let us know. Instagram, email, all the places you'd expect us to be. We'll try our best to help, and I think that's it. Shabba dabba doo.
Au revoir.
Bye bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.